What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're going to be talking none other than the meta that is related to BT-16. You know, we had last week, reaching on to this week, and I'm excited to talk about some of the fun jankiness. It looks like it's slowing down. I think it comes down to a lot of the events that are now just singletons, and that's kind of really changing things up for main competitive, so people are focusing on building singletons over in JP, so that's going to cause some skew in data, but we do have some tops happening within the week. So without further ado, let's get into the video and talk about it. So right now, as you know, I was mentioning earlier, there is some skew with the Highlander events like now taking up spots. So tournaments plus the holiday season, especially for the Chinese New Year and stuff like that, you know, it's the Year of the Dragon. We're going to see a lot more, you know, slowing in events because holidays do take up in closing stores and events. So something to take a look at is Bunny and Insectoids finally are at a even tie. So let's see by next week who's going to take the lead here. Is it going to be the Tyrant Kabuterimon, or is it going to still be Bunny Assault? So then we have Imperial Dramon, Blue Armor Rush, kind of still following suit. It's starting to show that these two are going to be the big two. And then, you know, Yellow Vaccine, follow SOC, you know, Nume, X Antibody Black, you know, Digipolice, you know, all the good stuff here. And as you can see, we're just following a simple trend here. The gaps aren't too bad, especially across the board. Just good to know for this information. So we're at 361 total decks in the format. It's kind of cool just to see that insects are now tied with bunnies, which we're pulling ahead because of events. And now people are just finally starting to realize, hey, I want to play more of the Tyrant Kabuterimon. Well, Tyrant Kabu is definitely doing some work. So it's just good to see. We had some bumps in other locations. Yellow Vaccine went up by 2. Fang Long went up by 3. So people are starting to pick up on Fang Long again. Royal Knights went up by 2 in the last week. Malomyotis went up 1, then you have Gamamon going up for 1, but outside of that, nothing too crazy, and then most of it is, like I said, the Highlander events, and until we get confirmation that we'll be playing Highlander, I really don't want to take a look into Highlander. If you guys want to see it at the end of the next, you know, Japanese meta, tell me, and I'll just do a rundown of all the Highlander events as a video or something like that, so just think about that. So first off, we're going to talk about Blue Flare. Blue Flare got some tops over the day. So just taking a look right now, definitely one thing I'd noticed with Blue Flare now is that they're removing their old rookie lineup. The Ukamons are taking in the spots because Ukamon definitely helps out. So this Ukamon, once you promote it up, is basically doing the work for you for your, you know, delay option here. The Blue Flare option that searches the top 7 and tries to get you a Tamer and 2 Digimon. So searching is really good, and especially since you don't really use your raising for anything more than just to either play a Digimon or do some crazy shenanigan combos. So outside of that, it kind of makes sense that the Ukamons just find their home here because it's a deck that really doesn't care about Digivolving upwards. They want a hard play, so just get some value that way. So let's see what they're kind of running with. So they are running Vikemon Ace, which makes a lot of sense because, you know, being able to de-Digivolve 2 of your opponent's Digimon, you know, 1 of your opponent's Digimon by 2 is huge, and then basically 1 of your opponent's Digimon with 1 or fewer Digievolution cannot spend until the end of their turn. When attacking, delete 1 of your opponent's Digimon with 1 or fewer Digievolution cards. So, really solid there. The Kiriha and Nenes are just here to extend plays and be your grabbing pieces back situation. You know, the deck is going to still want to do what it wants to do. It's going to rush in with a Greymon with an extra security check and jamming male Birdramon to just keep applying pressure. You know, like I said, Ukamon, revealing top 3, add 1 Digimon or Tamer among them, return the rest of the bottom deck, and then you may hatch in your breeding area to set yourself up even more, and you kind of just win from the Metal Greymon applying pressure, and you use like Zeeg, or even just using Zudomon Ace hard play to strip, and then Vikemon Ace afterwards to just try to apply more pressure that way. So I think this has a lot of potential, and I really like where it's going. And I think the Ukamons, as long as they're there, the deck's going to still do well. Now we're going to talk about one of the toxic decks. Since, you know, Blue Flare is one of those toxic decks that you get to play against, let's talk about SetCon, boys and girls. So it's kind of interesting to see, like, you know, second place Setcon out of 9 players. It's kind of good to see what they're trying to cook up here. You know, they're using Psychmon, Pillowmon to kind of slow down. Aerodramon is just, you know, getting recovery going. You know, you got the Magna Angemons that are going to recover you shenanigans. You know, Gallantmon to come in as the game goes on. It's just your closer to be able to attack in and control. I like the Quantumon tech because you can Digivolve on top of these two. And then I kind of want to talk about the Tamers here. So we know about how Setcon works. It's just getting their options to security and making your opponent have a bad time. So Emperor's here for the Ukumon players because, again, Ukumon's just everywhere. So if you punish them by them promoting up, if you gave them 1, you know, now they're losing 2 memory. They're not going to be able to play as much as they wanted to. Even if they gain that memory back, they're at 0. So it could either lead to you passing turn back or making them have 0, and they're not going to be able to do as much as they wanted to. You know, you have like Quantumon. Basically, Quantumon puts in so much work for some decks. Just being able to negate being able to be removed by Digimon effect or an option effect or being affected by Tamers in general means you have a lot of potential. And being able to look through your opponent's security, take the biggest threat out of there, put it at the top, and then guarantee the next following turn, put it down at the bottom, is just really huge. Then you have like TK Kari, really good here. What's also really good about Quantumon, though, is that in this deck, you know, you can put threats into your security, you know, your Digimon threats like Aerodramon, and then have that set up. You know, stuff like that does matter in some circumstances just because now you get to look through the security. You lose 1 for doing your Quantumon shenanigans. TK Kari is, you know, when one of your yellow Digimon attacks, you may suspend this Tamer to have one of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP. You know, it's an extender. And then TK Izzy is really interesting. So if you have a 5 or higher Digimon in play, gain 1 memory. If your opponent has a 5 or higher, gain 1 memory. Then when one of your Digimon digivolves into a yellow or green Digimon, you may suspend this Tamer to have one of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP until the end of the turn. So green or yellow. So Shadow Seraphe, Quantumon are all valid targets, and so is the Azulamon Ace. So stuff like that is kind of important to take a look at. I like how this deck is running. It's a really interesting one. I'm not a biggest fan of Setcon, but it should be noted to be talked about, right? Then we have Royal Knights. Royal Knights is starting to tech some interesting stuff. So it's not like crazy here, but they're using Magnamon from the starter deck, plus Magna Angemon Ace, you know, Tai from the starter deck, and DCG to help control threats. So let's take a look at what's going on with it. So Tai is basically in here when an attack target switch, spend this Tamer, draw a card, and one of your Digimon gets plus 2000 DP, making him more scary. It's a mem setter. And then DCD Dimensions, so de-digivolve 3 of your opponent's Digimon, then delete 3 of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost 6 or less. This is really just for dealing with threats that, let's say they don't have protection from options. Being able to de-digivolve 1 and then 3 of your Digimon means sometimes this will take care of any aces sitting on top, means this gets refunded very easily, and delete 3 of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost 6 or less. So, and especially if there's aces underneath the stack, now you're de-digivolving the top, getting it to the ace, and the ace is going to get removed. So stuff like that is very important because of that. And, you know, let's take a look at the Magnamon. This one does a surprise security come out if it can digivolve on top of it, but outside of that, you're not going to see that happen very often in this list. But it's a blocker, armor purge. It's a 7 cost, you know, security de-digivolve, but, you know, it has all its potentials here, right? For each one of your opponent's Digimon has trash to the top Digi-Evolution card, then return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digi-Evolutions to their hand. Nothing really too crazy here with Magna. You're not really going off of it. It's just a blocker to come out and just be another low-end play cost for a reduced cost. So it's not bad, but all in all, Royal Knights doing Royal Knights things. Then we have, you know, the last deck we're going to talk about is the Yellow Vaccine list. This one used Mastamon in it, and they had the new Chaosdramon in it, and Palmons. You know, we know what Palmon does. It's going to search out the vaccines and try to digivolve onto its champion for reduced costs. You know, you have the Gatos and the Angemon. You know, just good valid targets in generalization. I think this Gato is the new Gato. Let me see. Yeah, that's the old Gato. So this is the Gato that we would like to see, if I remember correctly. Or promo Gato. Let me just double check this before I state wrong statements. So Gatomon, please come out, please, and play. So it's not this Gatomon. It's most likely this Gatomon here. So let me double check how it's worded here. Yeah, this is this Gatomon here. Just the one with barrier. So it's nothing too crazy. So, you know, first off, you have like Patamon for the new deck here. Start a main phase on play. If it is your turn, one of your Digimon with Digivolution may Digivolve into a level 4 card with Anja, or free traits from your hand for Digivolution cost reduced by 1. It's not a bad trade-off. Patamon just being able to have that reduced cost, really solid. And then when attacking, trash the top Digivolution of one of your opponent's Digimon. So making them smaller is really solid. It's not like D-Digivolution at all either. So, and then Magna Angemon. So if it's your turn, search your security stack. If this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Angel or 3 Great Angels traits among them with a Digivolution cost reduced by 2. Then shuffle your security stack. If you Digivolve by this effect, you may place 1 card with Angel, Archangel, or 3 Great Angels traits from your hand at the bottom of the security stack. Then all your Digimon with Angel, Archangel, and 3 Great Game Blocker. Then you have like Shadow Seraphe, so when they're attacking, when security is removed, you know, it basically does this, which you can make threats smaller, and then they'll battle, which is really scary. But on deletion recovery 1. Then you have Mastemon as a combo play, which is not bad. You know, you have decent amount of targets here to Jogress with. I don't know why they're really playing Mastemon, actually, to be straight honest with you. I mean, it's just the Digivolve at that point, because you can't Jogress with it. Yeah, they're not Jogressing in this deck, so I don't understand why it's in here, except for just being fluff at that point, but I think it's just to place a yellow or purple card in your trash on the top of your security stack face down. You know, if you DNA, you can play something, but when a card is played, when you play another Digimon by effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a level less than or equal to the played Digimon's level. Yeah, I don't understand why Mastemon's in here. It could be anything else, to be honest with you. Like, even Venusmon would do more for this. But that's not my call. Then we do have Chaosmon, which is why you play Shadow Seraphe and Seraphemon. So it has Barrier, Blocker, Partition, level 6. When Digivolving, D-Digivolve 3 of one of your opponent's Digimon. And then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 8,000 DP. So most likely killing most threats off the board. And then end of turn, trash the top card of both players' security stack. It's also a boss or D Brigade. So Chaosdramon's really solid in the list as well. So guys, what did you think of the decks I covered this week? I think it's quite interesting and a good way of taking a look at what possibilities are on the horizon. So guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace!